All right, if there's a week that CD Projekt Red is trying to take me out, this is the week. Between my review and all these news updates, they're like, if he can't do the news updates because he's too exhausted in bed, then we win. Well, anyway, more seriously, ladies and gentlemen, we have our first big update coming to Cyberpunk 2077, and this one is coming hot on the heels of a lot of console reports. On the PS4 and base Xbox One, this game has been struggling big time, and people wanted answers. CD Projekt Red was completely silent throughout the entire process, despite all the worries beginning just this Monday when reviews had started to drop. But now, the first update is out. It addresses a lot of the concerns people have, and over time, we'll see if this really pays off and makes it worth buying into. But given what they are addressing, I think a lot of people are going to be happy with this. So there are patch notes over on Cyberpunk's website. I'll have it linked in the description down below if you want to check it out for yourself. But we're going to be reading all of them because, you know, that's what we do here. We cover Cyberpunk and all other RPGs. So also, if you are new, you like the content, you're interested in me, I mean, how could you be? But anyway, seriously, ladies and gentlemen, if you're new here, do consider hitting the subscribe button, joining up. We do a lot of RPG coverage here. We've had a ton of you joining up, and I appreciate that. I appreciate the trust. But with that, let's talk about the big Cyberpunk update, shall we? So a lot of people have been complaining that the graphics are, you know, not too sharp on the current consoles. So hopefully that one gets addressed. I don't know sometimes what people are expecting. I mean, it's not going to be as good on the base PS4. It should be running and functioning there. But graphically speaking, I think people need to temper their expectations just a little bit. The new hotfix to Cyberpunk 2077 is now live on PlayStation consoles and PC. For Xbox systems, we are working to have the update out as soon as possible. Here is the list of changes. Now, PlayStation consoles, that means PlayStation 4. That is huge because that is where the big problems really lie. Let's start off with quests. Fixed an issue with completing the final objective in Gig, Freedom of the Press. Fixed an issue with starting the conversation with Johnny at the end of Life During Wartime. Corrected a rare issue with NPCs no longer calling V if a Like Supreme quest was abandoned midway. Fixed an issue with Nyx not going into his default state in Spellbound and Cold Mirage. Fixed issues blocking progress in I Fought the Law if the quest area is left. Fixed inability to find Delaman in Epistrophe. Fixed issues related to remaining in the second phase of the quest after finishing Pacifica fight with Ozob if played after finals. Fixed an issue with nomads no longer present if V leaves the quest area mid-combat with a little help from my friends / Queen of the Highway. Adjusted mapping and re-enabled quest tracker in Map 10 Pelen I Walk the Line / transmission. Fixed constraints on freedom to get up and sit down if neither blue line condition is met in violence. Fixed issues in time and space resulting from leaving quest area or abandoning the quest and following the river. Fixed an issue with conversation with Johnny not starting after leaving the hotel in Tapeworm. Fixed an issue with quest being blocked upon leaving the quest area before climbing the hill and following the river. Fixed the objective going into booth 9 not completing if the rooms entered too fast in Automatic Love. Fixed Jackie's issue with sitting still in Ripperdoc and other quest fixes. Okay. Oh, I gotta catch my breath after that one. I'm out of shape, I guess, reading a quest log of fixes. Okay, yeah, so I personally, in my whole review process and even after the fact, haven't had quest issues. More importantly, what's coming after here, right? The gameplay fixes, the graphical fixes, the performance fixes. This is the stuff you really came here for, ladies and gentlemen. But of course, we do diligence here. We want to make sure we have thorough coverage. So I want to do everything from top to bottom. Let's continue on with the stuff that I think a lot of you are here for. Gameplay, fixed a preview in the weapon crafting. This is great news because the weapon crafting HUD is not great, as I said in my review, to put it kindly. Visual, reduced vehicle appearance pop-in. Speeded up switching first-person perspective to third-person perspective in a vehicle. Fixed issues with animations missing from important quest NPCs during cinematics. One thing that's missing here that I did not see during my review process, but I see now, and I don't know how else to describe this, so just bear with me and use your brilliant imaginations out there, okay? I'm driving on my motorcycle. I go in third person, and I kid you not, above me is my character T-posing butt naked. That is not on the change log here, so hopefully we see that at some point in time, but that is one of the most strange bugs I've seen in my entire life. It started up recently, these last 5 hours I've been playing, so hopefully that gets addressed because it's just really jarring. I like to use the motorcycle because I can see my character, but vehicle pop-in here is probably the most important one. That is something that happens really frequently throughout the entire review I went through, and even now after a couple of patches, still something I struggles with. So it's good that that's something that is being addressed. Performance and stability. Oh, joy to the world. Improved stability, including various crash fixes. So yesterday's video, we talked about the PlayStation 5 and how upon longer play sessions, Push Square mentioned that about an hour and a half of playtime would average in a crash. So hopefully that is something that will no longer be an issue. I have a couple buddies on PS5 who've been playing this game, and outside of some visual bugs, they've been fine. This doesn't seem relatively widespread, but the good news is that at least for the PlayStation 5, it seems like those crashes are going to be a thing of the past. And hopefully this does apply for, of course, the Xbox when it gets to those systems, but the PlayStation 4. That's kind of the focus here, right? I know a lot of people have moved on to next gen. A lot of us are enthusiasts here, but a lot of people stayed behind because of money, which is very short nowadays, but also there's no real demand to buy in right now. As much as it's great to be on the cutting edge and a part of a launch, right now, you're probably making a smart decision not buying in unless you're, like I mentioned, a huge enthusiast. But most people are just like, I'm good with my PS4. It works now, and as it was marketed, it should work better there. So it's good that CD Projekt Red is improving the stability there. We'll talk a little bit more about specific fixes for the Xbox One and PS4 that are clearly labeled on these changelog. So let's continue reading. Miscellaneous modified the flashing effect on brain dances to reduce the risk of inducing epileptic symptoms. The effect has been smoothed out and the flashes reduced in frequency and magnitude. They also removed copyrighted songs incorrectly presented in the game with the disable copyright music feature toggled on. Now, okay, copyright music, whatever. More importantly, very important here, they fixed this epileptic issue here. That is super important, okay? Shout out to Liana Rupert of Game Informer. She sort of led the charge on this with her PSA warning slash article over on Game Informer. It got a lot of attention, and even afterwards, she had posted that a lot of developers had reached out to her saying that they are taking note of what's happening here and taking note to the response of gamers and how many people suffer with epilepsy, and that this is something that must always be considered when actually making their games and when it's released, right? This is a huge oversight, right? This could really cause people some serious trouble, to put it simply. And so it's good that CD Projekt Red responded. It shouldn't have even happened in the first place. But what's more important is that Liana's work has actually improved the games industry in a way. So tip of the cap to her. Great work. But also it's very important to highlight here that this is something that has been fixed. PC-specific fixes have arrived as well. Switching language to default in the in-game settings now correctly sets it to the language of your Steam client. So this is actually pretty important, I think, for other players. I never encountered this, but I know a lot of people wanted to play in Japanese. So that's good news for everyone. Here we go. The big one of them all and the final part of the changelog. Console-specific. Improved reflections quality on Xbox One and PlayStation 4 to eliminate the smudge effect. Fixed the Wasteland achievement being stuck on 97% after completing all relevant missions in the Badlands on Xbox, and fixed an issue with missing PTBR-VO for Xbox players in Americas. Okay, most important one right here. Smudge effect. The amount of tweets, comments, messages I've received of people saying, I started up this game on my PS4, I started up this game on my Xbox One, and I thought something was wrong with my eyesight. I get it all the time. So this one here is huge. It looks really blurry on consoles right now. Super disappointing visual quality. So it should look, at the very minimum, outside of everything here, we'll have to test it more, it should look a little more crispy, which is good news. You're not actually going blind. Nothing's wrong. You can see fine. It is, in fact, the game, and it is a smudge effect that has happened. I don't know how it happens, but more importantly, this is something that has been fixed. Alongside stability, they have not mentioned anything about increasing the frame rate, though. It's something I want to point out here. When they say stability, that sounds to me more so along the lines of crashes, but I'm talking frame rate. PlayStation 4, as we saw, had really bad frame rate dips, down to 15 according to Digital Foundry. That is unacceptable no matter what. I think some people expected with the scope and scale of the game, it's not going to run at a perfect, stable 30. I would love that. I think we would all love that, and we all want that. But the reality is that it was dipping, and I think it will continue to dip over time. But as it stands now, anything hitting the teens is ridiculous. That is unacceptable. That needs to change. So this is something that I imagine will improve over time with more patches. But what's great here is that they did get their first big update out, addressing a lot of the concerns. I think they wanted to push out this hotfix as soon as possible, more so because of the epilepsy issue. This could have resulted in actually genuinely hurting people because there was no warning at the beginning of the game, and there were things in the game that would trigger epileptic reactions, and so that is not okay. That could really hurt people. So I think they wanted to get this out ASAP, and performance and frame rate, that stuff will come second, which I think is an understandable reaction. This is something that should have been there at launch. It's something that should have never ever slipped through. It is a gigantic oversight. So I'm just glad out of everything on this list, that's there. But it does seem a lot of the big issues on PS4 and Xbox One are also being addressed, the smudge effect being the most notable one there. When it comes to the PC front, it just seems like languages. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, that will do it when it comes to the latest update for Cyberpunk 2077 and everything that CD Projekt Red is doing in their first big update. Of course, as more updates arrive, I will continue to cover them here on the channel, offer my thoughts, and make sure to highlight what I think is very important. But what do you think of the latest changelog for CD Projekt Red's Cyberpunk 2077? Is this good news for you? Is it bad news? I don't know how it could ever be bad news, but of course, freedom of thought is allowed here. And if you think this is absolutely terrible, then hey, more power to you. That's quite the take. I'll be honest with you. I'd like to shake your hand one day. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for your time today. I appreciate you sticking with me. Tomorrow, we're going to be talking about the stocks for CD Projekt Red. That was originally going to be today's video, but it got bumped back because, of course, this takes precedent, in my opinion. We'll talk more about the launch woes with Cyberpunk. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, I leave it in your hands. Let me know what you're thinking in the comments down below. Other than that, follow me on Twitter, follow me on Instagram. Those links are in the description down below. Big thank you to all the patrons, all the members who push the limits of this content forward. Stay sexy, stay active. Love you all. Peace.